So today what would we be working on is about the approvals. So we'll talk about the different types of, probably if it's just a single level approval, you would route it just like any other assignments, right? Like you would route it to a work queue or to a specific user or through a business logic. But what if I have a series of approvals? I have different levels of approvals that are required and they have to be taken in the same order. Okay? So I have a designated or a specified order in which the approvals have to be taken. So how do we deal with that? Right? So I cannot keep on adding just approve reject steps here. Like for example, this candidate selection is taken by the technical lead or technical manager. So after that, again, I have a manager related approval, right? Then I have an HR related approval, right? So can I keep on adding steps like these for approve reject in order to get the sequence?
This will be a lot of complexity.
Right. So I can do it, but it's not a good practice. And probably I cannot achieve all the required functionality through just adding in these steps separately. Right? So what we do is we go for cascading approvals. So we just use a single step of approve reject, but instead of the approval of single level, it is going to be a cascading type of approval where two or more people are involved in the hierarchy. Okay? So within cascading again, we have two types. For single approver, we know like once if an approver approves your transaction, the case just moves further. Whereas for cascading approval, you need like two or more. Okay? So that depends upon either the reporting structure or the authority matrix. So like what are these two now? So let's see. So reporting structure is something which deals with the operator. Right? As in on the operator profile, you will decide who this operator reports to. Okay, and it goes in the reporting hierarchy. For example, manager. Let's take a scenario where you are a project lead and you need to get some project level approvals for the budget. Okay? So how it goes is you as a tech lead, you would request an approval from the manager. From the manager, it might go to the director of technology. From him, it might go to the vice president technology. Right? So a series of approvals are required. And all of these are in the reporting hierarchy. Because you report to your manager, manager reports to director, director reports to VP. Likewise. Okay? So reporting structure based hierarchy is when the people belong to the same reporting hierarchy. Whereas there is something else called authority matrix. So what is authority matrix? Let me tell you. Sometimes you need approvals from the people outside your department, outside your reporting hierarchy. For example, you have put in a claim request, probably some reimbursement request. So it goes to your manager. From the manager, it might go to the finance team, auditor, and then finance manager. So does it mean your manager is reporting to finance manager? No, right? But still the approval is required from people outside your department, right? So authority matrix is where people from different departments or people who are not part of your team are also involved in the approvals. So that comes as the authority matrix. Okay, I think let's go ahead. We'll try to implement these two. We'll see how they are going to work. Right? So let's see. Let me just go back. Right. So first we'll try to explore the reporting structure based hierarchy. But before that, I think let's create few operators quickly, because we don't have any operators as such except for the admin. So let me look at the operator and let's create some operators here. So let's create the operators for manager, senior manager, and vice president. Okay. So I'm just going to save as this. Okay, I'll just name it manager. Okay, and instead of this, let me also change the full name. And I think I'll change the access group as well. I'll just give it the manager access group. And then quickly I'll create a senior manager as well. And then one for vice president. Okay, so I've got the 3 operators available here. Now, in order to make sure they are in the reporting hierarchy, what should I do? I should update them, or probably I should have them added on the reporting hierarchy. Okay. Like for example, now I'll go to the admin operator, where let me report this to the manager. Manager at HR, yes. Whereas manager reports to senior manager. Senior manager reports to vice president. And save it. Now look at the reporting structure. Does it make sense? Yes, VP, senior manager, and manager. Yes. So seems like a good reporting hierarchy. Fine. So now let me just go back and I'll let this I'll do one thing. Maybe I'll just put this approve reject step somewhere in the first stage itself, so that I mean, just for the demonstration, so that I don't need to navigate until the interview stage each time. Maybe I'll just put this. Yeah. I'll remove this. So this is just because we wouldn't want to, navigate until so many screens and then to look at, but we are just doing it before itself. Right? Okay. Now here, instead of single level, I would like to go for a cascading and based upon the reporting structure. Right? Now again, it could be either a reporting manager or it could be for an entire work group manager also. Right? So when you have a department, right? So generally in Pega, we call these departments or units as work groups. And then you define a set of people, right, who are all part of the same team. So there could be a work group manager also, if in case we need it. Right? So let's go with the reporting manager. Then you can decide how many levels of approvals you might need. Okay. So if it's obviously a one level approval, then I don't need to take all these aspects, right? You name it as cascading, you define it as reporting structure, then just give one level of approval is just same as a single level approval, right? So one is just like similar to your single level approval, whereas all means everyone in the reporting hierarchy should approve it until unless the case will not move further. Okay, I think we will try with all. So let me just save this. Okay, so each time I wouldn't need to log off and log in back. So what I'll do is I'll create another instance. Okay, for example, now the case is saved with all as the approval level, which means everyone in the reporting hierarchy should approve my transaction, right? Okay. Okay, maybe let me just save and run here. Let me just proceed further. Okay, let me submit. Okay, so it says it is routed for approval. So yes, I can, directly, look at this. What is my case ID? R3001. Now let me log in as the manager. So we'll see if it goes into his work list. So right, yes, I see the manager's work list R3001 is waiting for his approval. Let's go ahead. Let us approve this. So let us give in a note. Manager approved. Right? So let me just approve this. The case will just move further. No, until unless the other levels of approvals also have to be completed, because we have chosen all as the level. So right, yes, here I see it is routed for the next level of approval. So I would like to just log off as the manager, and then I can log in as a senior manager to look at it. So yes, I see R3001 pending with the senior manager to get it approved. Yes, so last acted upon by the manager and now with the senior manager. And yes, acted upon by manager, senior manager, and then you have your vice president. Once it is accepted, only then the case just goes further. So do I have my 3001? Yes, pending with the vice president for his approval. Let's assume yes, approved it. And the case moves further into the next step. I mean, why is this coming to the vice president is because we haven't added any specific routing mechanisms for this, right? So whoever is working on it, the system just consider the same thing and it will proceed with the next set of steps. So likewise, you can deal with different levels of approvals. It could be either one, it could be all, or you can even customize it. Depending upon a specific condition, you might have the different levels of approvals. Like for example, as this is related to recruitment, maybe salary could be a criteria for the level of approval. If the salary is in a particular range, I want the manager to approve it. If it's more than that, I want manager. If it's more than that, I want vice president to approve it. So likewise, you can add levels of approvals. But before that, do I have any salary property? So let's add that.
No, we don't have.
Okay, let's just add it.
So on the basis of property, it will route to a specific.
No, there I mean, the levels we need to decide it using a when condition. Those are going
Okay,
to when
condition.
conditions. So let me show that. Okay, so now I have my yes, so let me just submit. So we have to create a when rule for each level of approval that you're going to require. For example, okay, now I'll go back to my approval step here. So I can add these custom approvals, but before that, here these are going to be a when conditions. Let's assume my salary scale some A. Okay, if it's a salary scale A, so I might give in some range of salary here. So salary probably is between 1 lakh to 2 lakhs. Okay, assuming it's like okay, is maybe greater than okay, and is maybe less than or equal. So this is my criteria for the first condition. So this is for the salary scale A. Similarly, I'll just decide salary scale B and C as well. I would just like to save as this one condition and I will change the salaries. So this customization or probably the custom level is calculated depending upon your when conditions. So it would be dynamic for, or it would be specific for each and every transaction, right? I cannot expect the same behavior for all the transactions. No, when it's custom, it is specific for each transaction. Still saving. So let's see, that's even saved. Okay, seems like yes, here is my salary scale A. And I would like to quickly save as this to get my B and C. And then one for C. And this is between 3 and 4. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let us just apply this. If it's salary scale A, maybe I just need one level of approval. If it's a salary scale B, I need 2 levels of approvals. And if it's C, I need 3 levels of approvals. So likewise, you can add in your own specific conditions. Let's see. This time we would give something in between 2 lakh and 3 lakh, and we'll see if 2 levels of approvals are required or not. Okay, we'll give somewhere in between 2,50,000. So how many levels of approvals are required? Obviously 3 levels. Sorry, 2 levels.
2 levels.
Exactly. So let's see. Let's log in with manager. So 2 levels, does it mean any 2 can approve it? And probably vice president or manager, anyone can approve?
No, in the reporting hierarchy structure, the
Exactly.
first 2 mentioned.
Exactly. So it still considers the hierarchy. So in the hierarchy, the first one is going to be a manager. So the manager approval is required. Then your senior manager. Exactly. So 3,002 is the transaction. And once the senior manager approves, then the case can proceed further. Right? So yes, 3,002. Now the senior manager approves it. Then the case can proceed further. So this happens in runtime, depending upon the execution or depending upon the when conditions that you have mentioned. Okay. So clear with this reporting hierarchy based approval? Any questions on this? Are we good?
No questions as of now.
Perfect. Perfect. Right. So then let's explore the second part of it, which is based upon the authority matrix. So as and when I use the authority matrix, I see a decision table, right? I see a page list property and I see an approver property coming up here. Okay. So which means Probably from this, I can understand that all the approvers required would be put in a page list property. So you will be adding in the operators on a particular page list property, and every operator who is on the list will have to approve my transaction, right? So what we have to do is, so in order to just get a approver page list property, so let's create a data type for it, right? Because whenever I need a page list or a page property, so the base is going to be a data type, right? So let's create a data type for this approver or your approvals. Let me add a data type. Let me name it approvals. And what all properties you're going to need? So the one important property is definitely your operator or the approver, right? Because that's what is being asked, the approver property from the page list, right? So that is what is being asked. Definitely let us add in an approver property or an approver ID. You can have it. Okay. So let me just add in a field. Okay, I'll just name it approver ID. And if required, you can add in more aspects, probably approver name or
Name can be
designation,
there.
something like that. Yeah. Okay, designation, then now a lot of other things. Yes. Maybe first name or something like that. So let's assume for now we have added the approver ID, designation, and first name. So what is of concern for us is going to be the approver ID. Okay, so let me just save this, and I would like to just close all the other things. Okay, good. Now I have the data type. So I can go ahead, I can create a page list property for my approvals. So how do I create a page list property? To create data model property. And let me name it approver list because it's hold all the operators required for the approval. And why should it be a page list? Why not a page or any normal scalar property?
Because it's a combination of all the different types
Right,
of
exactly.
fields that we have
Exactly.
added.
Exactly. And also it should hold multiple property details, right? Multiple approver details should be stored in this page list. Right? Okay. So my data dash approvals. And then this is a page list, right? Let me save it. Save. Yes. So now for this part of the thing, I've got a page list property. Good. I've got the approver property. Now if you look at it, yes, I have my approver list. And what is the property that you're looking at is the approver ID. Good. But does it have any data yet? I mean, did you decide who should be approving it and all? No. So that's where
No.
decision table comes into picture. So let's design our decision table. Okay. On what basis you are going to decide who is going to be the approver or how many people are going to approve it is part of the decision table. Let me name it DT for authority matrix. So this table is what would decide what all or who all are going to approve it. So again, the condition, maybe I'll just pick up salary again. Okay, so the property is going to be salary. Again, you can have in a range of salaries, or maybe I'll go with greater. Okay. Now, the ideal scenario of your decision table is, suppose when you have multiple rows. Okay. So the first row which satisfies your condition would be executed, and whereas the rest of them would be ignored. Correct? So for example, somewhere if I was met with this condition and it is satisfied, so this is going to be my return, whereas the rest of these actions will never be executed. Agree with me?
Yes.
Because they are all if and else if. So once a condition is satisfied, the return is given and then it is exited from the loop. But now, on this particular scenario, I would need multiple operators to be added on my list. So if and else if will not suit my requirement. What should I do is, instead of if and else, I would like to
Execute all rows.
my rows
Evaluate
to
all.
be evaluated. Exactly. So when I use evaluate all rows, these become when conditions. And irrespective of whether they are satisfied or not, every when condition is evaluated. Okay. Now let's see if my salary is greater than 1 lakh. Okay. So what would you like to have is I want a particular approver. So for the return, what should I do is I should have this so-called operator or whatever I give on the return, it should go and sit on the approver list. So what should I do is, where is my approver list? Yes. And what is the property? It is the approver ID. Okay. So if I save this, so whenever a condition is evaluated to true, the approver ID would, the data would be mapped onto this approver ID in the list. But I want this to be a list, not just a single value. Correct? So every time the expression or the condition is evaluated to true, those operators have to be added onto this list. So I have to append each of the operators to this list. So instead of just mapping it to the list directly, I would like to append each and every operator which satisfies my requirement. Okay. So what if I don't use append? So every condition is evaluated to true, then the previous approver ID is overwritten by the current expression, right? And you will just end up with one operator, but you will not have a list. So instead of all of that, I'm going to just append. Whenever a condition is met to true, the operator will be appended onto this approver list. So let me save it. Yes, here comes my approver ID, but make sure we have to give in the right operator IDs here. Okay, so I'll just get them from here directly. So what is going to be the manager, HR, okay. Then if it is more than 2 lakhs, it is going to be senior manager, HR. And then if it is more than 3 lakhs, maybe it has to go for the vice president's approval. Okay, Okay, and the rest you can have them, or you can also have a default, you can have an otherwise scenario when none of the conditions are met. You can have one operator on the otherwise scenario. So for now, let me just save it. Okay. So on this decision table, now for example, if the salary is 2,50,000, then how many operators will be on my list?
2,50,000.
2,50,000. Right.
It will be VP at HR. No.
Just one?
No, it will be manager at HR first.
Mm-hmm.
It will be senior manager at HR, and then it will be VP at HR.
But this condition is not satisfied, no? My like 2,50,000 is not greater
Okay, it
than.
is 3 lakhs.
Right.
Yeah, it is 2,50,000. Then it will be first it will be manager at HR, and then it will be senior manager at HR.
Perfect. Perfect. So here, which means 2 levels of approvals are happening as per the conditions that we have given, right? Okay. So let me just go back to the
And
recruitment.
one more question, Sneha. Can you
Yeah.
go back to the decision table?
Yes.
Now, if suppose we would have not given append there, that
Mhm.
means it will be just senior manager at HR will come, not the
Exactly.
manager at
Exactly.
HR. It will
Not the
override
manager,
this.
because this would be overridden. Correct. Correct. Exactly.
Okay.
So that's why we have used append, so that whenever a condition is met, your new operators will just keep on adding on to the existing list. Okay, so let me just run this. Okay, let me proceed. Okay, I'll give something like 2,75,000, which means 2 levels of approvals are required. Okay, let's see. So who should I log in with? The case ID is 3003. So can I log in with any random user? I mean, probably
No.
any level of approval? No. It has to be in the sequence in which your decision rule is executed. Right? So the first one that's appended onto the list is going to be your manager. So the approval is pending with the manager here. Right? So you see R003003 is pending with the manager, and now once he approves it, so who's next in the queue is going to be your senior manager.
Senior manager.
So yes, the senior manager R3003 is pending to work on this. So once approved, all the operators available on my list are complete. So the case just proceeded further. Right? So this is happening because of the decision table that we have used here. So as and when the condition is met, the operators are getting added onto the list. Right? So likewise, and instead of, if you see, this decision table is not mandatory here, right? Because as we had some conditions, we used a decision table. Instead, if you would like to add the entities manually on the approver list, you can still do that. So that my DT is not a mandatory thing here. I can use maybe an activity, or I can use a data transform to just get my approver list. So it's just for populating your list of operators, right? So that could be through decision table, or it could be through your data transform. It could be through your activity. So that's up to us. Like depending upon the scenario that we are dealing, we can have the you can either have a decision table or other rule forms also. Yes, but the advantage is that if it's a decision table, you can delegate it. So that's the whole advantage of it. because we generally do not delegate data transforms and activities to the business users, right? So considering that advantage, we would suggest go with the decision table.
Okay. And if we have to use the data transform, where to mention the data transform here? Because there's no field to mention it.
No, you don't need to specifically mention it here, right? So wherever you are having this approval step, you need to have this approver list populated. So just make sure that your approver list is populated before itself. I mean, probably it could be on the step before your approval step. So anywhere before that, you can populate your approver list. Could be on the pre-processing, or it
Okay,
could
the
be
pre-processing of the approval step.
right, or it could be maybe like post-processing of get personal
Post of
information.
post.
Anywhere. Just by the time you reach your approval step, make sure approval list is populated. So that would just do.
Okay.
Right. Try, like practice this a bit.
Now we have reporting structure and authority matrix. Now,
Right.
when to go for which one?
So I think that's simple. Just like if your operators or if your approvals belong to the same hierarchy, go for a reporting structure. Because obviously when it's a reporting structure, you would have everything designed on the operator profile itself, right?
Yes.
But whereas authority matrix comes into picture when you have people from different work groups or from different departments, when you have to manually select or choose an approver depending upon certain conditions and all, you can go for authority matrix. Okay, so reporting
Okay.
structure will not give you any conditional based option. I cannot choose that, okay, I don't want this operator, I want some other operator. You cannot choose. You have to go with the hierarchy. Maybe what you could choose is just the number of levels you can choose, but you cannot decide which individual operator is going to approve it. That choice is not possible on the reporting hierarchy.
Okay.
So just depending upon the kind of scenario we are dealing with.
Okay.